I know that I am a beautiful woman, and I'm not saying that to be vain. I'm just saying it as factual information due to good genetics. And I also take good care of myself because I like to look good. So if my booty in my beautiful dress can make them smile and it makes them yell out something like, "Hey, baby," then I'm like, "Hey." Hello, Warners, and welcome to Women Your Mother Warns You About,
the podcast that makes everything sexy again.
Yes.
I'm Gina Tremarco, founder and sales trainer at Pivot 10 Results and Carolina Improv.
And I'm Rachel Pitts, mom, realtor, and creator of The Closing Curve. And how's it going, Gina? What's new?
Oh, it's going good. It's going good. Getting on the road again. I'm always on the road, going to speak at my little Vistage talk, so keeping busy.
And you have a brand new tattoo, don't you?
I do have a brand new tattoo.
We'll have to put photos up of it's very, very pretty. Very pretty.
It is very pretty. It's a pretty butterfly.
And why the butterfly?
Butterfly is a sign of metamorphosis and change and new life and new beginnings, and it just came to me that I wanted a butterfly because it just felt like there's all kinds of new things coming up.
Very good. It's very lovely. I'm super happy. And I, of course, am on crutches right now at the time of this this episode.
Well, you know, the good thing is that you and I take turns on these life challenges. For a while, it was me with my wrist and appendix, and now it's your foot.
Yes, I'm very, very grateful that it's not my wrist. I'm grateful that it's my left foot and I can still drive around. And it's just a moment of stillness. I'm taking the cue from the universe that stillness is a time for writing and reflection and all of this stuff and asking for help.
That goes back to a couple other episodes back and a blog that talks about asking for help. I wonder if anybody took me up on my challenge. I said, go out there and use asking for help as a way to do an, introduction sales call, right? Like kind of just call with more of an attitude of like, hey, can you help me with something? And see how that kind of diffuses a conversation. I don't know. Did anybody do that? If anybody did, drop us a note, drop us a line, send us an email. And speaking of that, if you want to ask us any questions that we can put on the show and answer for you, please do that. We love that. women@womenyourmotherwarnsyouabout.com. Or maybe there's a guest you want to recommend. Throw that out to us and we will answer that for you. So today our guest is, okay, everybody listen, Our Shawn McBride. Our Shawn McBride.
Yeah, can you explain that whole deal with Our Shawn?
I know, right? Like I had to ask him that because I'm like, I didn't know how to address him. Like even when I've talked to him, because we've talked a lot, I'm like, I don't know how to. So he was using R period, like the initial R. I wonder what the R stands for. We should make something up, like Robert or
Radical.
Roger. I'm going to call him Roger. R period Shawn McBride. Because he started calling himself that to differentiate himself from other speakers named Shawn McBride. There are a ton of other speakers named Shawn McBride. Who knew that? With the same spelling. So some of his audience members started calling him Our Shawn McBride because he was going by Our Shawn McBride. Got that?
Got it.
So, given his passion for uniqueness, and he is very unique, the name stuck. So like everything, all of his social media, everything is Our Shawn McBride.
It's definitely a good, memorable conversation starter, Our Shawn McBride, but also his uniqueness lies in his crazy jackets. He has these suits that are shamrocks and hearts and flamingos and all kinds of crazy things. And that was actually one of the things that made me so curious about him in the beginning was like, what's up with these suits? And so we talked a lot about that.
So, for this episode, he was wearing a shamrock suit.
Yep. And so let's see more about the Our Shawn. He's a corporate lawyer licensed in 12 states as well as Washington, D.C.
Overachieve much?
Yeah, right. And if that's not enough, he's a CPA licensed in 3 states. He also heads the Our Shawn McBride law firm, a corporate law boutique, and McBride for Business, LLC, a business strategy firm where he's often called upon to speak or consult on the future of business. Whew. And I thought I did a lot. I'm feeling very lazy right now.
I know.
He's the also he's the author of Business Blunders, which showcases common business mistakes to avoid, and 3 other books. And he has like 4 podcasts and
4 podcasts. 4
he's a beast.
Video, YouTube things. I don't know. I can't keep up with him, but he inspires me because he's really structured on creating content and putting stuff out there. And I did have him on the Pivotal Leader a while back, and people can check that out at thepivotalleader.com. We talked more about business blunders, like some of the mistakes that businesses make when they're starting up and running their businesses. And it was really kind of interesting. I mean, I got some really good advice out of it for myself, and he didn't charge me. So no lawyer bill. That was kind of nice. He's got extensive experience in the sales arena from running his multiple businesses and being called upon repeatedly to help sales organizations increase their sales results. We mentioned some of his stuff on YouTube. He's the host of The Future Done Right on YouTube. He's really, really smart when it comes to like what is coming up in the future. And he taught me some things that I didn't even know what they were. I'm like, what is that? Blockchains. I didn't know what that was. And don't ask me to explain it.
Because I have to listen to him explain it. He does talk a lot about that.
You'll have to listen to the show. He interviews guests from all over the world on the dynamics of the future of business on that show and the changes that business owners can anticipate. He's got some amazing owners that have been on the show, like you and me.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Indeed. Well, before we start the interview with him, we'd like to remind you about our newest offering of Warner World, which is a private Facebook group where you can get a little bit extra from Gina and I. So you can go to warner-world.com to check that out. And also, if you would be so kind, take a minute to leave us a review on iTunes. And if you do so, you'll get a shout out from Gina and I all over the place, as well as 3 months free to Warner World. Free.
All right, let's get on our way with this episode featuring Our Shawn McBride. Well, we're excited to have you on the show today. And right before we got started, we've already done your intro to kind of give you a big introduction of who you are. And we're going to talk a little bit about your jacket that you're wearing today. And I know that we have listeners that can't see the video, but we have to start posting video on YouTube, I think, especially with this jacket that he's wearing.
It's his lucky day.
Yes,
yeah,
you're
wearing your lucky jacket. Your lucky jacket because you're with us girls.
Exactly. I'm lucky to be on the show. Lucky to know you guys.
Oh, nice. So, before we started the show, Shawn, before we kind of get into like some serious business
Very serious.
Stuff, very serious. You said you wanted to talk to us about catcalling.
Catcalling.
Which is different from the dog barking in the background.
Yes.
And we love dogs because I have dogs, and then Rachel's got a cat, Audrey, who's going to meow soon. But you want to talk about catcalling, and I think that's a really good topic because as women, catcalling happens.
Yeah.
There's forms of catcalling in sales, perhaps. So what did you want to talk about, Shawn, on catcalling?
I found it interesting. I've just been reading articles on the internet about catcalling and how everybody's against it. But what's happens in my world is, because I wear unusual suits, I have these suits for do business differently. People catcall me all the time. So I'm a guy that gets catcalled, right? So I'll be walking across a bar, a restaurant, hotel, whatever, and random people will be like, hey, come over here. We want to talk to you. And then I'll go talk to these random people. So it doesn't offend me, And so I get it. I'm a guy and women are women, and I understand it's a different perspective. But for me, it's like, hey, these people just want to talk to me. Okay, let's talk, And I've gotten business from it, and I've gotten leads and, met people because of it.
Well, there's definitely, I think, a difference between a man being catcalled and a woman being catcalled. I mean, are you being catcalled by men and women?
Yes, both.
Okay. So, Rach, what do you think? Because you said you had some perspective on catcalling.
Well, I don't mind being catcalled by men, honestly. And it's really, I mean, I know that I am a beautiful woman, and I'm not saying that to be vain. I'm just saying it as factual information due to good genetics. And I also take good care of myself because I like to look good.
Yep.
And, most of the time I dress in a manner that is appealing. So therefore, I don't want people to insult me with something lewd, but I mean, it happens to me, like my regular place that I get gas, there's usually like a whole bunch of different workers there of different varieties, like, and they're in their work trucks, and they always catcall me. And I'm always like, hey guys, because, they're just
make
looking.
their day.
And I understand that. Like, I realize that these guys are out there doing the work that none of us really want to do. And so that's why we hire them. A lot of times it's manual labor and it's hard. Probably doesn't even pay them that great. And so if my booty in my beautiful dress can make them smile and it makes them yell out something like, hey, baby, then I'm like, hey. I mean, I don't take offense to it. If somebody goes too far, like if they start to approach me in a lewd manner, then that's going to be something different, and they're going to understand that I have a concealed weapons permit. However, like generally speaking, if somebody catcalls you, you just kind of turn your head and you're either A, offended, or you B, like, do you like me? Like, hey, it's just a matter of they're just trying to like.
It's just opening a conversation, right? So,
it's never, for me, it's never really gone further than that in terms of, a catcall to lead to business in that manner. But I'm not offended by it.
I go talk to people most of the time. If I'm not headed somewhere, if I'm not on a deadline for a meeting, like somebody yells out to me, hey, I want to talk to you. I want to know about your suit or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's chat.
We did a couple episodes back on standing out, right? What is that thing? And Shawn, you're really good at that because you've gotten into this place of wearing these jackets that stand out. We've talked about different ways to stand out. I have some really cool cowboy boots that are sparkly, and when I wear them, people want to talk to me. Like, everybody wants to talk to me. Men, women. It's an opening for someone to have a conversation with you. And I have like exchanged business cards for business because of the boots.
Oh, me too.
And sometimes because of the boobs and boots, either one.
Well, okay, I can't compete with that. But
well, kind of the point is like what can you leverage? What can you leverage in your business that opens the door for conversations?
Yeah, it's got to be on brand. And so I'm unusual because I tell people to do business differently, right? So when I wear an unusual suit, it opens that conversation and embraces the larger brand. Obviously, you wouldn't want to wear something inconsistent with your business, right? So, I mean, boots generally can be dressed in a professional manner, can be consistent with your business. You probably wouldn't want to wear other attire that would call attention that may not be consistent with the types of professionals you would like to meet.
Like boots and lingerie? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm talking about.
Not when I'm giving a presentation.
Not when you give a presentation.
Not normally.
But I do wear those boots because they're very dressy cowboy boots and very sparkly. But I do wear them with dress pants and skirts and dresses because they're different and they stand out. It's not like the normal looking attire when you're wearing those boots.
It's a conversation starter, right? I mean, that's what it does. Starts a conversation.
Yeah, right now my crutches are a great conversation starter. We talked about that the other day on our quickie sales tips, but it's what is it that you have that's, like you said, that is still professional, but yet can start a conversation. Right. Like everyone's got a story about when they were on crutches. So it's been an interesting conversation starter.
So Shawn, let's ask you this. So you don't mind being catcalled, and I think you mentioned that you have a date with someone who catcalled you.
Yes, I was walking across the bar after a presentation, and she's like, hey, come over here and talk to us. And she was a group of people. And so I just went over and chilled out with her for a while, and we struck up a conversation.
And then you asked her out.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's pretty awesome. Now, on the reverse, would you be a catcaller?
I mean, I've come over and talked to people intentionally. I don't know if I've screamed across the room to people. I mean, I've certainly gone towards people at a conference or an event and started a conversation.
You haven't been like, "Hey, baby."
Hey, baby, across the. I mean, I haven't done the. I guess I haven't done the full blown like scream across the room. Hey, you, or hey, you're hot, or whatever. But I'm not afraid to go talk to somebody if I want to talk to them.
Are you willing to commit to a cat call and see how it goes?
Ooh, a challenge.
I mean, why not give it a try and see what happens?
Okay.
I mean, it could be your form of a cat call. You know what I mean?
Well, my form of a cat call is to approach and talk, so just go and talk to the person. Right? So,
that's a cop out. That's not a cat call.
Not a cat.
make a full blown actually yell out to somebody. Okay, I'll try it.
Well, I don't even know if you need to kind of yell out. You could be a little more not like I've had men come up to me and go, "You're beautiful." That to me is a cat call because I'm like, who are you, random man?
Random man. There you go.
And then I'm like, thank you. Yes, I am.
Yeah. Yes, I am. There you go. I mean, I just
own it.
Tactically, yeah. I mean, I don't. Just to scream across to somebody is not my style, but to approach somebody and start.
I think we've made Shawn blush a little bit.
It's awesome.
He was warned.
Okay, well, I've been trying. Now I've got a challenge. So
challenge has been thrown down.
Yes, challenge is out there. So
let's talk a little bit about you and your experience. You have such an interesting background. We've had you on the Pivotal Leader, so people can go listen to that episode at thepivotalleader.com. We talked a lot about business and business blunders. Today we're talking to Shawn about sales. You have a lot of experience in sales arena,
yes,
from running multiple businesses and being called upon repeatedly to help sales organizations increase their sales results. Tell our listeners a little bit about your journey from law to accounting to business planning to content creation to guy in cool jacket.
Yeah,
you're so
it's been
interesting.
A journey is a great word for it, So started the early part of my career doing what people told me to do, right? So I liked business and I was good at math. So people were like, be an accountant. And that didn't last real long. I did the accounting school and got partway through it. And I said, my God, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life looking at other people's numbers and making sure they recorded them correctly, which is essentially what an auditor does. Like, that's not going to be my career. But I'd taken a survey course in business law, and I'm like, that's kind of cool, negotiating deals, putting stuff together, contracts, all that stuff. So, okay, I'll be a business lawyer. That led me into the big law firm world, got planted at some of the largest law firms in the world, and did a lot of business plans, business execution, raising money for companies, really got into people's business plans. And of course, it's always about the management team and the process. And so that drove me deeper on that. Fast forward from there, and I started my own law firm. And eventually, people started asking me to speak. And originally, I spoke about law and accounting. But where I saw a bigger need was people were getting their business strategy wrong. They weren't building their business plans the right way. They weren't getting them executed correctly. They weren't getting the right teams in the right orders. They weren't communicating their message. So my mission became business strategy, helping people get their business strategy in order, particularly in light of the future of business. So that's where I'm at now, and that puts me in different verticals. Time management has been a big piece of this. Several years ago, conference reached out to me and the person who would become my colleague and partner on time management training and said, hey, we are not happy with the results we're getting with the people that are coming in to teach us time management. Will you come in and do a piece on time management? So her and I got paired up, and we became time management people. And who needs time management help? Sales teams. They are always struggling. So
I was just going to ask that because that's like one of the biggest complaints I hear when I go in any kind of sales training situation.
Yep.
That they're so bogged down on doing the proposals, doing contracts, doing administrative. Some of them use that as an excuse. And I recently had a client say, I want them out 4 days a week. And I'm like, is that realistic for them to be out 4 days a week? And that only gives them like an 8-hour day to do everything else. So
yeah.
What are some tips on time management that you could give us?
The big thing I think with time management is we really have to set priorities. And that's exactly what you're getting at right there, right? What's important to the organization and then what's important to the individual sales rep. And we've got to drill down from there. So what do we do to drive the results? What are those key metrics? How do we get focused on those key metrics? What can we eliminate either from our personal lives or from our businesses that are not adding value, that aren't pluses, and really get focused on the core activities? And one of the challenges I think for a lot of organizations is that causes a hard conversation, right? What is the value of the amount of data you're putting in the CRM? Because a lot of salespeople don't see the value of typing long data into the CRM and keeping it updated. But from the organization, that may have a lot of value because you're tracking and you're knowing who's talking to who and all that. So you've got to have values discussions, values of the individual salesperson. What are their personal values? How are they motivated? What are they focused on? And then values of the organization. How are we spending our time? What's important? What activities should we be putting the most attention in? We got to have those hard conversations. And once those happen, then the time management piece gets a lot easier.
I love time management hacks, and just about everybody on the planet will always say, oh, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. And what do you do personally to manage your time?
I'm structured. So I've got my goals. I have certain things I want to do every day, right? So I have things I know drive my business. So I am, on these key metrics, making sure those happen. And really, the key to time management is saying no, and you got to get good at that, right? So start telling people no. Start getting rid of the fluff and filler. Start getting rid of the time wasters in your world, right? So, and they're there. I guarantee you've got them. They may be tasks. They may be people, and so get rid of them.
Yeah, that's a big one that I know. I just spoke to a woman the other day who's like super overwhelmed, and she's like, I just say yes to everybody. And I'm like, there's your problem.
There you go.
You can't do that. You got to say yes to what matters.
Yes. And a lot of times when people say they're out of time or they don't have enough time for it, they're just saying you're not a priority, right? I mean, you're just not.
Oh, yeah.
No.
That drives me crazy.
Yeah. No, don't say I don't have enough time. Say I'm just not going to do this, or it's not a priority, right? I mean, it's really it's a poorly veiled answer when you say I don't have time for this.
I've also found when it comes to certain client stuff or like proposal stuff, when I'm like dragging my feet on getting a proposal done, I stop and go, am I not working on this because I really don't want to work with them, that I'm dragging my feet on getting it done? So sometimes eliminating things like you're talking about could be like eliminating
a client.
Client that you don't want to work with.
Yep.
And recognizing like, oh, this might not be the best, because they're going to probably like exhaust you. Yep,
exactly.
With expectations.
Right. And maybe your gut is telling you to not prioritize it, right? I mean, there's I've seen some materials out there from an organization that talks about procrastination. They talk about the fact that procrastination is a sign of something, right? It's a sign that you don't want to do it, or you're avoiding it, or you don't have the expertise to do it, or whatever. There's some reason why you're putting that task off, right? If it was easy and you had the right skills and you wanted to do it, it would already be done. It wouldn't be procrastinated on.
Yep, I have a procrastination issue around certain things. Mm-hmm. Don't say it, Rachel. Here it comes. I can feel it.
Well, I'm shifting. Well, actually, I'm the one that's guilty of procrastinating of writing right now. I mean, I have it on my list. But speaking of writing and content, so Shawn, I'm very impressed as I get to know you better about how much content you're able to create, and obviously that is a big priority for you. So, what is your advice on how people can balance their time to focus on creating content?
Yeah, for me, it's part of my bigger world, right? It's part of the whole system. So if you watch what I do, and I've got my Future Done Right YouTube channel, I've got a Women Business Leaders YouTube channel, I've got one on sales. They're broken by my audience, right? So my audience, different people don't have to watch everything I put out there. But it's built into my system. I learn from my guests, and I create new material, and I create new expertise by virtue of the things I'm doing. So if you watch what I'm doing, I'm writing articles that are on topic to issues that I'm having, issues my clients are having. I am doing video shows and learning in areas where we're developing new material, developing new content, new training for our clients. So everything connects forward. And I think for me, that's one of the keys, is how do I systematically connect everything so that I'm not doing double and triple effort, right? Every effort I do turns dividends 2 or 3 different ways. And So it builds my audience, but it teaches me and trains me. It builds my network and relationships, and it gets my name out there, right? I'm doing all these things simultaneously with one effort. So how can you be efficient, right? It's efficiency at the end of the day. One article or one guest on my show turns into 3 or 4 different things that benefit the community.
Well, I have to say that I appreciated that you asked me to start writing something on Wednesdays for one of the Facebook groups.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, there's like another thing for me. But I totally embraced it because I said to Rachel, I go, this actually forces me to write something. Right. And when you said repurpose it, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, and you see how the community responds to it, right? So we do something specific to the community. Everybody gets to engage and respond, and everybody gets it. But then there's other communities that can benefit from that too. So why not use it in more than one context?
Yeah.
What you want to be doing is what some people do is copy and paste and put it in places where it doesn't fit, right? So don't just blast your content everywhere where it doesn't fit.
Right.
But do put your content into multiple places where it does fit, right? So you got to be careful. You don't want to know your audience and match to your audience.
Yeah, and I've taken, really my audience is anyone in sales that wants to get better at relationship-based selling. So I stick to that lane, but if I'm going to repurpose, the audience might be a little bit different on LinkedIn than it might be.
Yeah, but if people know you for sales, that's great, but don't go post that on some page about, beautifying your home. Which is what some people do, right? I mean, they write.
Yeah, that's true.
They write a great article about how to be a better salesperson, and then they go stick it in a forum about, home improvement, and people are like, "What is this? Yeah, like, why am I reading it?" There might be one person in that forum that's interested in sales, but you just had 500 people who just said, "This person's wasting our time."
Yeah, that's along the lines of the trolls.
Yes.
The Tremarco trolls.
Don't get her started. Well, and to your point, Shawn, like what I do this morning, exactly what I did. I filmed a video on, I'm doing a video series on how to sell or what the process on how to buy a home. So I do the video, I use that same transcript, and then I produce a blog, and then I post it all over the place. And so you can, like you said, take your interviews with whoever you're speaking to, make that a video, make it a podcast, make it a blog, all these things, and then it saves you time. And I've repurposed one of Gina's writings for you. I repurposed for our Women Your Mother Warned You About blog. I was like, heck yeah, this is perfect. It fits.
Right. And so you're getting you're helping multiple audiences, and you're being efficient with your time. So why not do that? Again, as long as you're not wasting other people's time.
Hey, Warners, you have probably heard me talk on several occasions about how much I love wearing red lipstick. Lipstick is just one of those things that makes me feel good about how I look, and sometimes a little extra enhancement to my lips from Dermavogue doesn't hurt either. I've known Dr. Jim Turek of Dermavogue for years. He is not only my doctor who keeps my body healthy, he and his Dermavogue team keep my face looking healthy and maybe a little younger, maybe. I mean, I love it when people say, something looks different about your face, but they can't really tell because that's really what you want. You want to go to a place that makes your face look as good and it makes people wonder what happened. So what's really cool about Dermavogue being our premier sponsor of this show is the fact that I'm a client, and I was a client before they became a partner of the show. So we're excited about that. Dermavogue has been offering the greater Myrtle Beach area the best in cosmetic and aesthetic dermatology since 2003. Opened by Dr. James Turek, Dermavogue combines expert medical knowledge with cutting-edge technology, bringing you the most effective, flawless solutions to any skincare or cosmetic need. Their patients enjoy only the absolute best in laser technology, including photodynamic laser therapy, hydrofacials, and V-beam laser treatments, as well as the latest fillers such as Botox, skin peels, facials, and more. At Dermavogue, they engage you in the process of total body health to ensure your satisfaction with their comprehensive selection of the most up-to-date, non-invasive cosmetic, dermatology, and spa treatments. It's human nature to want to look your best, right? Let Dermavogue help you get there. Schedule your consultation today by calling 843-357-2444 or visit dermavogue.com and tell them that the Women Your Mother Warned You About sent you. You can also find them on our website. Go check it out. Do you time block? How do you like really make it all fit in?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have a busy calendar. I know what's going on a given day. You know, I'm not the formal time blocker, right? So it's not like write from 9 to 10. It's like, okay, I know I want to get writing done this morning, and I'll leave a block from 7 to 10 or whatever. And I'll do some email follow-up, do some writing, do some other stuff. I know basically what's getting done in that block, but I give myself some flexibility within my time blocks.
Yeah.
It just works better for me that way.
Well, I do think everybody is different in that respect of like you have to figure out what works best for you.
Yep.
I've tried the from 7 to 10 I'm going to write thing, and that didn't work because I would get distracted on email or social media, and then I'm like, now I literally write down by the hour everything that has to happen in hour chunks because it's the only way to keep someone like me, a mosquito drinking Red Bull, on track.
Yeah. Well, if that works in your world, it does. And that's one thing, you know, Shannon J. Gregg, she's the lady I wrote the time management book with, and we got deep into time management. So one thing we said is so many of these systems out there are formulaic, right? It's like copy and paste. Everybody's got to do this. Everybody's got to keep their email this way. Everybody's got to keep their files this way. And it's crap because we're all different. We work different. We have different styles. So there's some experimentation to getting time management right. Figure out what you want to focus on and then dive deeper on that.
Yeah. Well, it's like having different learning styles.
Everyone's got styles. We got different styles of how do we get creative? How do we do our stuff? Just embrace you, test and experiment, figure out what works for you.
Well, that's a really good segue, the be creative and embrace you. Let's talk about how you embrace you with your amazing attire. And, you know, a lot of people, especially women, struggle with being who they are and owning it. That was the reason why we created this podcast. We're like, we're going to be exactly who we are, and you're either going to love us or you're going to hate us.
That's awesome. That's good.
What advice might you have for other people, men and women, to embrace who they are and then leverage it?
Yeah, well, I'd say, you know, first you got to know who you are. So that requires some experimentation. You know, for me, a lot of my world is about helping other people, helping them get a message out there, helping them do what they want to do in life, right? I like enabling people to succeed. And so part of that message is, you know, build your unique business plan around you. Be yourself, right? Just like we talked about time management, the best business plan for you is the ones that are going to embrace the things you enjoy doing. They're going to do things the way you want to do them. They're going to let you be you and also make money off them in a way that serves your customers. So from that flow becomes this concept of being unique and different. And finally, a couple of years ago, I stumbled into this concept of wearing unusual suits to bring a visual to it. And so it's about opening other people's conversations up. I mean, the odd thing is I wear these suits more for other people than I wear them for myself. You know, it's about getting people to come up and talk to me and start that conversation of what's unique and different in your business, or how are you unusual and how can you leverage that? It opens that whole door of that message and that mission. So, you know, for me, that's it. My mission and my method, my mission overrides, you know, and powers what I do.
Tell us about the suits a little bit. Tell what was your first suit, and do you have somebody specific that makes them, or do you just order them? Like, what's the deal with the suits?
Yeah, so the first suit was a Christmas suit, so you probably see that. But I wore a Christmas suit to a party. It was at a restaurant with some fellow speakers, but we were kind of in we're in one of these places where you have a lot of restaurants collected together, you know, an area of town and so we went and had dinner together. And then afterwards, we went outside and we were mingling with just random passerbys. And so not only was it popular with my dinner colleagues who all wanted to take pictures and post them on social media, but I had random people from all over the world coming up. Some of them could barely speak English, but they all wanted to take pictures with me. And so
it's like Santa Claus.
It's kind of like Santa Claus, right? Like they're like, please take a picture with us, you know, whatever. And then someone was like showing me their camera because I guess they didn't know how to say, can we take a picture with you in English or whatever. So they were just showing their camera. Yeah, exactly. And they come over and they take a picture with me. And then I was like, okay, that was cool. So I tried it again the next week with a different Christmas suit, and I kind of had a similar experience. Everybody wanted to take pictures with me. Everybody wanted to talk about it. And I was kind of like, okay, I don't want to be known as the guy with the suits. That was fun. And a guy named Terry Brock, Hall of Fame speaker, came over to me at another party. And he's like, people are paying a lot of attention to your suit, Shawn. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And he's like, you really should do something with that. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be known about the guy being the guy in a suit. He's like, no. He's like, you really got to think about what to do with this. He's like, people have trouble paying attention to stuff these days. He said, they're paying attention to you. How can you connect this into your business? And that really set the seed of how did I bring this all together. So from there, I went out and I started collecting a variety of suits. I wore the heart suit the other day with your recording, Gina. I've got the shamrock suit on today. I've got pineapples. I've got flamingos. I've got a German German pattern suit. I've got the leopard print.
Oh yeah, I've seen you in the leopard print.
Talk about the male female dynamic, but there's no there. I buy these suits. I order them and I have them tailored. We don't have a suit sponsor at this time.
Need a suit sponsor.
Yeah, why not? I would like to partner with a suit company that wants to do unusual suits. So if that's you out there, give me a call.
Yeah. Kind of like we want Dagny Dover to sponsor us maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
I just need to fly out there and show up.
Yeah.
That's what
we just got to happen. We just got to go hustle up some sponsorships.
Yeah. I hear you. I mean, so, the suit sponsor position's currently open. So we're looking for somebody to partner with on this. We've got some crazy designs of suits they want to get out there to the world and get them associated with.
It's interesting. Like, would you ever, if someone said, you know what, we want you to come do something with us, but could you not wear the suit? What would you do?
We had this discussion, Shawn and I, our very first conversation.
I did that. I did that for one conference. So before I used to wear the unusual suits, I had agreed to speak at their conference. Then they asked me to come back and speak another time, and I did. And then we ended up parting ways because I think, they weren't very embracing of my brand. And I think that was one of the fundamental tensions, and there were other things. But so now, no, the answer is no. It's the suit. It's part of my brand. It's part of who I am. It's part of the message. And if you don't want the message that I'm delivering to people, then I'm probably not your guy.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's important to stress for everybody listening that you have to stand in your brand. Even if you work for a company, the company that you choose to work for, you want to make sure that you fit into their culture and they fit in and they're aligned with who you are and they accept you for who you are.
Yeah. And I mean, looking back to my career, I'm very much an individual. I'm a team player. I work on a collaboration on a lot of projects. I work together with people and, I work well in a team setting, but I'm also an individual. I have my style, and looking back, that's, some of the early tensions I had in my career was I just, there were people that didn't want me to stand out. They wanted me to be a cog in the wheel, and that's not who I am. And so, if you want a cog in the wheel and somebody that's going to give you the standard message and look like everybody else, you want the lawyer that looks and acts like everybody else, don't call me.
I love that. You know what? In town here, there's a real estate attorney. His name is Brett Branham of Tide Law Firm, and he is known as the lyrical lawyer. Okay. And he has a very similar personality to you, and even kind of a similar look, like the lawyerly look.
Yeah.
But he's a rapper. And he does really great. He just genuinely loves doing rap. And so he does these videos around town. And he did one that went viral during one of our ice storms. And he got on the news with the TV. But it's really great. And it's what stands out about him. And it's so off the beaten path. But I love it. And it's great marketing.
Yeah.
And he's a really great person. And it's not for everybody, but it's a way to stand out. And I'm pretty sure, like you, if you don't dig his rapping style, then you're not the person to do business with him, and that's okay.
It's all good. And this has happened before, people, some people want like the lawyer who gives you all the standard advice and tells you all the same things everybody else tells you. If that's your business, if you're so busy being a conformist and trying to do exactly your business the way everybody else is doing it, and you have no innovation in your business, then I can't really help you anyway, because
right. And some people feel more comfortable with someone who's more traditional because they think that is showing more authority or what have you. But just because you wear a suit to make you stand out does not diminish your obvious intelligence. And, there's people that can see past the fact that you're not, in that dark suit with everything all in order,
And I had a flip problem for a long time before I started wearing unusual suits. And one of the reasons I was open to the idea of it was I spoke a lot. I would dress like your standard lawyer. I had fashion consultants and all these people come in there and tell me what colors to wear and all this stuff. And I'd get on stage and I'd be in my nice suit. People would compliment how nice my suit is and all that stuff. And I'd speak for a while and then I'd walk off the stage and people would come up to me. And one of the first things they would say to me is, "You're not like every other lawyer. You're not like every other lawyer." So, and so why am I dressing like every other lawyer when people hear me speak and they're like, "You're not like every other lawyer." So, it was just the two where there was an inconsistency there.
How do you feel about personal branding in organizations where, this is becoming a little more hot, that employees want to have a personal brand that is an extension for the company? I've heard, both sides of it. I've heard some companies are like, I don't want someone out going, pushing their personal brand and then they're going to leave my company. Where others are like, oh yeah, it's an extension of marketing. Do it.
Yeah. I think the reality is the world we're moving to is going to be more and more that way. The employment cycles are getting shorter. People are coming and going faster from companies. More and more companies are talking about results on demand. Even I've been practicing law almost 2 decades now, believe it or not. And I remember.
But you're so young looking.
Well, thank you. And so I remember when I first came into practice of law, there was this big debate with the summer associates. So you have people come into law firms that work for the summer, usually between your second year and third year of law school. And if you like them, you hire them, right? This is how you recruit in law firms generally, is you invite law students to come work for you for the summer between their years, and then you hire them. And so there was a debate going on in the law firms because they were like, we're spending a bunch of money to bring these people here. We're paying them a salary. We're wining and dining them. We're going to campuses to recruit. Then it takes us another year after they show up to train them if everything works out. So we've got, a big number, call it $200,000 or $250,000 into a young lawyer before they're ready to really start hitting the ground running. So then the debate started within the law firm world of, do we spend that $250,000 or do we just go steal somebody else's person that they already spent $250,000 on, right? Why are we training people when we could just hire somebody that somebody else trained? That metaphor or that system is happening economy-wide, right? More and more employers are saying, why are we investing? Why are we training? Why are we developing when we can go pick and choose those star performers? So we're moving more and more into an economy where people are independent agents. So even employees of companies are becoming more and more independent. So the truth is, if you're going to be in touch with the future of business, you've got to have that. You just want to get good performers on your team, and you want to embrace what they're doing to be great performers. I don't think the way the mentalities are working now, the way people are thinking, the way things are developing, it's very hard to get those 10, 20-year employees where you can develop them from the ground up. It's just not the reality of the market we're in anymore.
But somebody's got to develop them somewhere.
Well, the truth is people got to develop themselves, and that's where we're moving to.
So that's another good question on future of business,
yes.
Because that's a big hot point for you. What is the future of business when it comes to sales?
Future sales, it's becoming, sales are already somewhat your most independent people in your company generally, right? Your salespeople get a lot of leeway. They get to pick their schedule. They're often out of the office. They're not sitting at their desk. It's probably your most independent collection of employees is your sales department. We're going to move further that direction, right? So it's going to be about coming in there, delivering the sales, getting them done immediately, and less about this structure or environment. So, to your original point, as far as controlling the overall brand or controlling individual salespeople, yes, you've got your brand as a company. Yes, you have your value-added, unique selling proposition. But within that, you've got to embrace these individualized salespeople having their methodology of connecting that value to their customer base. And so I think we're going to see more and more of that. We're going to see less and less of, IBM, everybody wears a blue suit, and more about what color suit do you wear and how does that connect to your customers that bring them back to our selling proposition.
Right. So shifting gears just slightly, what are some blunders that you've seen in sales that you can share with us?
Not listening is probably the number one thing.
What did you say?
Exactly.
Sorry, that was
That's
bad.
awesome. That's awesome. I mean, all this sales training, all this work I do, all this talking I do to sales organizations, and so much of the problems is just crosstalk and people not listening to each other. If you're in the sales environment, particularly as we move to the future of business, what AI, machine learning, automation systems, CRMs, we're all taking out kind of all the standardized, call and order processing. So if you're a ticket taker in sales and you're making great money, enjoy it while you can because your job's going away. I'll tell you that right now. You got to be out there connecting with customers, understanding what their problems are, connecting them to your solutions, and really building that value chain. You've got to be out there seeing things. So it's conversations, it's listening, it's connecting results to your customer in a way that makes sense to your customer. So that's the future of sales. That's where we're headed, is you as a salesperson need to understand emotional intelligence, understand the position of your customer, understand their deeper problems, and really listen to what they're saying.
Boom.
Boom. Drop the mic.
Yep. Mic drop.
Yeah, so it's not just about the technology. That's something that we're preaching all the time.
Yeah.
I do a lot of talks with Vistage groups, and sometimes those CEOs give me, feedback that my talk was too basic, and I'm like, yeah, that's how I started this talk. We're going back to the basics.
Yeah, I saw a speaker the other day, Tony Rubalewski, good guy, gave a great speech, and he said during the speech, and I took this home, I'm in the reminder business, and
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and that is part of our job, right? I mean,
yeah.
Yes, we can. Yes, those of us that have a broad breadth of experience, one of my values as a speaker is that I can come in there and I talk, and I don't give the same speech every time. I tailor it, I tweak it a little bit, I kind of blend modules for different clients.
Yeah.
But one of my truest value adds is that interaction with the audience. I'm listening to you. I'm hearing the questions you're hearing. I'm looking at your faces. I know what that organization needs, and I can bring in years of experience in other situations to help that organization, right? So if somebody has a question or idea, I've got this broad pool of ideas and things that I can pull from other experiences. That's one of my value adds. But another value added of being a speaker is just to be in that reminder business of here's the fundamental framework of how we should do things. Because so much we're distracted by this new thing, that new thing, this other thing. What is the fundamental framework we need to go back to drive results? So being in the reminder business is a big piece of this.
I'm going to now use that in my next talk.
I know it's getting.
I'm here to remind you.
Exactly. It was when he said it, I was like, boom, and it resonated with me as well. We are in the reminder business.
And we're in the relationship business, and it's so interesting, like the overall common thread through a lot of our guests is that no matter what angle of sales and business that we discuss with our guests, it always comes back to what you just said, which is listen, make sure you're making it about to the other person and make sure that the relationship is actually real. Otherwise, the business is not going to happen.
That's
regardless of it, all of it, the automation, regardless of the opportunity. It's got to be about that human connection.
Well, that's what the computers can't do right now, right? So I don't know what the future, we're still trying to figure out what artificial intelligence is going to be and isn't going to be. I just wrote an article the other day about whether artificial intelligence will kill humanity. That's a whole other conversation, but we don't know exactly the strengths of artificial intelligence going forward and how we're going to regulate it and what it's going to do. So that's an open question. But what we do know is right now, today, computers, artificial intelligence can't make those emotional connections, can't see the bigger picture, can't see how everything interconnects. It's great with task-driven, right? You walk into McDonald's and now they got the boards and you can and it sends it back to the kitchen and you get your order, right? It does anything that's processed, pure process can be done by a computer now. When it becomes something where you have to understand, you have to see how things connect, you have to see how things work together. That's where the great humans come in there, and that's where great salespeople can be developed, and that's where you can really add a lot of value.
Awesome. So much great stuff from you, Shawn. It's sad that we have to wrap up and let you go.
I could talk to you guys all day.
Yeah, we could go on and on. I know, and we've got stuff coming up with you that we're both on and crisscrossing with each other.
We have a lot to do. Yes, we do.
We got a lot of stuff coming up, so everybody be on the lookout for that.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for being on our show today. And Shawn, how can people listening connect with you?
So go to my planningdoneright.com. That is kind of my central hub website. It's got connections to my other projects and things. So you'll see there the Future Done Right Show, which is a YouTube channel and podcast where we talk about future of business. You can check that out. LinkedIn is a great way to connect with me. So follow me over there, send me a note. We got something to connect on. I can certainly, we have a deeper conversation. We get on the phone if there's some connection there. So planningdoneright.com, Future Done Right YouTube channel. Go see my LinkedIn, Our Shawn McBride.
Awesome. Thanks again, Shawn. And thanks to all of you Warners for listening to this episode of Women Your Mother Warns You About. You can learn more about Rachel, Keith Walters, and myself on our website, which is where you can also learn about Warner World. So go check that out.
And you can find all of our links to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube on our website, as well as a couple of cool free downloads, womenyourmotherwarnsyouabout.com.
And you can also connect with Rachel directly if you want to. You can visit theclosingcurve.com, or you can connect with me directly at ginatramarco.com. And if you haven't reviewed and rated our show yet on iTunes, we would so appreciate it if you did that. We're taking, we're kind of bribing a little bit. If you do a review, you'll get 3 months free of Warner World. So that would be awesome. And remember, for the best relationships, keep it real, raw, and relevant.
And a little irreverence doesn't hurt either.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. This really will get serious soon.
Yeah, it doesn't have to. I don't think anybody wants it to be serious.
This has been a presentation of the Sell or Die Network. For more podcasts that you can take out into the street and turn into money, visit sellerdienetwork.com.